Welcome, Eric de la Bonnardiere from Evaneos. Who knows Evaneos? Ah, look. He works. So before start, I think we're gonna watch a video. So Eric, could you explain more about the role of tourism in the industry?
Yeah, tourism is a massive industry. As you know, it represents 10% of the global GDP, so worldwide. So it's really important. It's the third largest export product in the world. It represents 300 million jobs. And for some countries, and especially the developing countries, it's the number one GDP contributor. So it's a really big industry, and of course, it has some huge impact, good and bad.
Can you develop more about the sustainable tourism, ecotourism? What is the percentage?
So it's a big topic. So we are a company that really tries to create a more sustainable tourism industry. So maybe I can talk about the problems we have today and then about the solutions. So I would say about more the challenges we have in this industry. Because as an industry, we are borrowing the places, we are borrowing the cultures, we are really taking some treasures of the world. And our role, I think, is to protect them. And we had a recent example, I mean, with Notre Dame. We see that it's something we have to protect. And once they are gone forever. So it's really about not doing things bad for those places. And in the future, it will be even worse, because in 20 years from now, there will be 2 times the number of tourists we have today. We have 1.8 billion tourists in the world today, and in 20 years from now, it's going to be almost 3 billion. So there are lots of challenges for tourism, and I cannot name them all, but maybe focus on one thing today is about over-tourism and concentration of tourists, because it's a big threat for the cultures and the places. And just maybe one number to remind us today is that 46% of the tourists in the world, they concentrate in 10 destinations. So there are 200 destination countries to visit in the world, and people concentrate in 10 destinations. So there is a big responsibility, I think, to spread more tourists in more destinations, and even within the destinations, to spread them in more places.
But can you give us more details about your main challenges? How can you describe that on the field when you are working with local people? Because I think this is such interesting when you involve local people working with you.
I think the main problem is the impact we have for the local communities. Because today, when we talk about economical impact, there are some interesting studies. For example, in Thailand in 2009, they showed that 70% of the income of the tourism actually left the destination, because it's coming back to the developed countries like France, Europe, USA, because most of the hotel chains, they belong to our countries, destinations, they import food. So at the end, lots of money go out of the destination. So I think it's very important to have tourism that really impacts from an economical point of view tourism. Also, concentration of tourists is very important. I can give you a few examples.
Yeah.
We all know Venice Laguna, for example, those big cruise lines going in the Laguna of Venice. It's really destroying, the place. Machu Picchu is another example. There are so many tourists. I think it's about 2,500 tourists every day going to Machu Picchu in Peru. It's almost collapsing today. The ground is shaking. It's collapsing. And it's because everybody knows Machu Picchu. Everybody wants to go there. We have all our bucket lists.
Would like to go there.
Yeah, and it's a must-see. So everybody wants to go there. But there are so many other amazing places around Machu Picchu. And if we know them, if you are more curious, I think it will be a way to save those kind of places.
What is your solution, for example, for Machu Picchu?
So
Protect more this area.
I think it's it's working with local communities, and I will talk about that later. But just an example of Machu Picchu, we are building. There is a new airport built at the moment at Machu Picchu. So there will be even more people going to Machu Picchu. So I think it's a responsibility of local travel organizations to take control of the tourism there, and not to give power to big tourism companies sending people to the destination. So it's really about changing the paradigm and not consuming the destinations, but more giving the power to local communities to welcome people the way they want to attract people and to choose the right people, because there are lots of locals that don't have good intentions, but also they have lots of local people that have good intentions. Maybe also social networks play a big role. One example is about, I would say, there are lots of examples. Norway, this this rock on a canyon, above a canyon in Norway, with lots of people taking this picture. 5 years ago, it was not known at all, and now there are thousands of people going there every day because it was made famous by Instagram people, and people are queuing to take the same pictures. And local authorities have big problems because they cannot welcome all of the people, and it's really destroying the place. It's the same in Greece, for example. I've seen last summer in Santorini in Greece, people queuing to take the same picture at the end of the street. And it's crazy. So it's just because as tourism industry, we don't showcase, we don't promote enough places, destinations, and our world is amazing. There are so many places to visit that we could do much more.
So for you, Evaneos changes the paradigm, but how?
So Evaneos is a marketplace connecting travelers with local agents all over the world. So the idea is to remove the middleman, to remove the big traditional tour operators and travel agents, to create a direct contact between travelers and local agents. So those local agents are selected with very strong criteria. So we only select 5% of the local agents we are auditing. And they are really promoting the places and creating a more sustainable environment. So on the customer side, I think we have to create more curiosity, and this is what we are doing on the platform by promoting much more places. We have 160 destinations. The number one destination for us is Thailand. It's only 3% of our bookings. So it shows that it's really spread. And also on the supply side, we have to help those local communities to take control of their tourism, as I said before. And we are giving them trainings, tools. We are bringing them customers. And we do everything we can actually to make sure they take control of their tourism and they don't depend on big Western companies.
And my last question for you is, I'm very curious about your local initiatives in South Africa and in Namibia, to conclude.
So we have 1,300 local agents in the world, and all of them have some local initiatives and very interesting initiatives. So maybe I can take the example of South Africa. We have one agent, her name is Catherine, and she's promoting West regions and Northwest regions, which are amazing and not known at all. Everybody in South Africa go to Kruger Park or to Cape Town, or they go to the...
Beautiful, Kruger Park.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but when we all go there, we are destroying the place, and the local economies really change. And I think we have to create better place to live and better place to visit. in the same time,
Yeah.
really in the same time, and not to create some sanctuaries. So western regions and north regions of South Africa are amazing. Another initiatives we have in South Africa,
Oh, in
I mean, lots of them. In South Africa, we have an agent asking all our customers to go in some township tours created by local communities, and it's really benefiting the local economy. And in Namibia, yes, we have a local agent. She created the first LED tourism fund to finance and to protect safari wildlife. So when customers go in vacation through her company, I mean, they are really
they can
impacting
finance
the
a program
yeah.
for protection.
Yep.
Okay, it's very interesting. And so now, do you have any question for Eric? Yeah.
Hello. So I have a question. Actually, I would like to know how do you ensure that the local agents comply with what it means to be a non-mass tourist destination? I talk by experience because I went to Vietnam, a place where I lived for 7 years, so I happen to know a little bit. And so actually, I used Evaneos because I think the idea is very nice. But the fact is that I had to tell the person exactly where I wanted to go, because 1 out of 2 times I was in these mass destination things where I said, no, I want something off the beaten track. And I think she really didn't get what it meant off the beaten track. So my question is, how do you ensure that the agents on site are trained to what people are looking for? Because under the bottom line, if I wouldn't have known the place, I would have gone exactly there where I didn't want to go.
It's a good question, yeah. And I think it's difficult for
How
you.
do you train them?
Yeah, of course, it's a very difficult question because lots of travelers actually want to go to those places. So the local agent, they cannot say no, because if you go to India, you have to go to Taj Mahal and you want to see Taj Mahal, and this is what I did. So they cannot, they cannot say no, but you have very often different ways to visit a place. So you can go in different hours than any other tourists. You can, for example, in Cambodia, in Angkor, we have a special tour for families, and with kids, you can visit the temples. And the kids, their goal is to find some treasures hidden in the temple. So it's really to educate about curiosity. So it's really about educating the customers, I think, and to dare asking to the local agents, as you did, to visit differently. And on the supply side, yes, we have to make sure that we work with local agents that are conscious about that. So being conscious is one step, and we are training them about that. So at the moment, I don't know if Dana is here, but we are working with Dana, who is in the team, to write, what they have to do locally to prevent us from doing bad things locally. So, for example, animal welfare is a big thing. When you go to Thailand or Vietnam, you can go on elephants. So now we are asking our agents to stop doing that if the elephants are educated to do that. I mean, it's not the right thing to do that. So now, after 10 years, we are writing things. Because, in the past, it was kind of, just a wish. And if we write things, if we write a chart, I don't know, how do you say in English, a chart, this is what we are doing at the moment. We will really create a much more impactful framework.
Yeah, because I think mentality are growing up. Because 10 years ago, I went in Thailand. Now I'm vegan. I don't play with animals, but yeah, it was normal. It was usual to play with an elephant, to make a photo with a trompe.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun. And
for humankind,
for human,
not for the animals.
And again, it's educating travelers not to consume the destination, but to feel that you are, welcome, and you have responsibilities visiting a destination now. And maybe it's going behind the scene and to try to understand how it works and to be a smart traveler. And I think it's very important.
To educate ourselves. And other question.
Good morning. Okay. Eric, I'd like to know from your marketplace perspective if you have any data on how customers are willing to buy sustainable tourism.
So yeah, it's a very interesting question. I have no data, but I've read some studies And actually, I know some tour operators that try to understand if it impacts the bookings and the sales. And the answer is no. Actually, for the same, I mean, for a certain price, people are not willing to pay more to travel sustainably. So I think it's the responsibility of marketplaces, operators, travel agencies to do it, to include it in the price, and to make sure that we respect the destination, the cultures, and the people, because it's not something that will dramatically change in the next few years, driven by the demand. And I think we are very late in tourism. There are lots of categories of other industries that are much more advanced. Look at food, organic food, plastic-free bags, those kind of things. But tourism is very late. It's not led by demand today, so we have as an actor to push it. Yeah.
Hello, Eric. My name is Florent. I'm a youth activator, also like Valentine next to me. I just want to know if you consider in the future maybe measuring the environmental impact of the locals, not the locals, but the tourists that we go to some places like Vietnam, for example. Because when you go to Vietnam, you have to take the plane, and the plane is like one entire carbon footprint here for one individual. Do you consider measuring this impact and maybe helping some tourists better understand what is this meaning for the earth and themselves in the future?
Yes, we are measuring it, actually start measuring it. So for the moment, we are offsetting our carbon footprint from the tours that we do with the employees of Evaneos. And we are thinking of, on the long term, of planes, of course, because planes for tourists represent 2 to 3% of total carbon footprint for the planet. So it's important. It's a few percentage of carbon footprint. But if we want to stop that, we have to stop traveling. And this is the big question. And I don't think we have to stop traveling. Tourism has a very important role, I think, for our planet, for our cultures.
Not for the planet, for the society,
social,
for mankind.
Yes, exactly, because tourism really helps to create a global mindset, to create stability and I would say even peace in the world, because people understand others' cultures, and it's very important. But I think we can travel smarter. Maybe in Europe, not taking the plane. When you travel long haul, you have to travel, longer and better. Yeah. It has to remain exceptional because there is a risk that traveling becomes a commodity. I think that everybody travel all the time and take the plane every month, and it's something that I don't want. But traveling has to really remain an exception and a kind of experience, I would say. And don't travel 1 week in Australia, but stay there 3 weeks for once a lifetime and really benefit from your tour. And this is, the kind of advices I would give. But yes, plane is something which is necessary. And there are some actually progress made by some air flight companies with eco-kerosene, for example. It's not something which is done at scale, but I hope it will be also a part of the answer.
It's a good question, and it's a current question of many people. And I think I read that Air France, for example, so maybe if you work with Air France, they launched a program of agroforestry when you give your miles. And they use that to work in Madagascar and many places to plant trees and to work with local people. So there is many, and unfortunately there is no Air France or airline companies on this hot seat, but it's very interesting to see how they can change inside the big companies, because it's a big problem, and I agree with you, we cannot stay on one place to work, to live. We need to travel to see many things. I'm a journalist. I'm a worldwide journalist. I used to go to see many change makers all around the world to talk about Amazonia, how to plant trees with indigenous communities, for example. And I can talk and share stories with you, with my French audience mostly, staying in a studio in Paris. So this is a big problem. Maybe there is many solutions are now launching with big companies and especially with airline companies.
Yeah. Maybe traveling less, but traveling better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other question, because we have nearly 5 minutes. Yeah, Marcello.
I have a question. So I had actually two questions. But the first one is with like already 20 years ago, Lonely Planet, and now we have actually a B Corp called Intrepid Travel in Australia. This alternative tourism is not new. I mean, it's already there 30 years ago, but somehow it hasn't really kind of caught up. Or maybe, so from the industry perspective, like with Airbnb and all these other ways, people can go on holidays on their own without a travel company. Is this not really changing the industry? And the connected question is, there's actually a lot you can do for the beneficiaries. Beneficiary meaning the people the community you go
The
and visit.
local
And
people.
companies have not been very good in promoting this. Like, KLM and other airlines, they've never really done it very well. You don't know where the money, if you want to compensate, you don't know where the money is going. And it
But
could
they
be,
tried to inspire us when we took the plane, because I was in Uganda 2 weeks ago and I took KLM on the, on the magazine. And oh, look, we are helping local people. They try.
yeah, but it could be done much better. So it could be done much better.
Of course,
Yeah, it could be much better. I mean, just to give you a number, we have in 10 years distributed, I mean, not distributed, but impacted by 400 million euros local workers and companies. So I'm sure that those million of euros are in the destination and didn't come back to Western countries. Because when you travel, I mean, riding your Lonely Planet guide or with Intrepid, I mean, it's again the Western eye on the destination. And for example, in France, we have Le Routard, which is a very famous guide. It's the French Lonely Planet. And when you travel with Le Routard, I mean, I used to do that, I mean, many times, you end up going in the same restaurants as any other French people. And at the end, it becomes tourist places. So I think we have to create more diversity, and this diversity can be only brought by locals. And this is what I'm doing with the marketplace, is really connecting the locals with the customers. So we have the local highs and not the Western, educated traveler high, but more what people from the countries want to promote, to showcase. And I think this is the key. And this is what is new. And we have invented this model 10 years ago. We were the first ones doing that. And we removed the middleman like Intrepid, which is a tour operator. So any tour operator in the world, their interest is at some point to standardize a product, to create a package, because they have to sell the same thing to lots of people to make sure it's working economically. So, we changed that. It's quite new. And there is still a lot of education to make. And I think our model is a part of the answer for the long-term problems of tourism. Yeah.
And the last question? There is a question out there. I saw your hands, Mr. Bruno Vinet. No? Yeah, one more.
Because I come again to this sustainability thing, and because you say you have to educate people and you have to see it from the local eye. The problem is, I think, and I come back to my Vietnam experience because it really was shocking. I think that the local eye is actually not the same than the Western eye. I went as well to Van Tiet, which was a wonderful island 20 years ago, and now it's just the giant trash can. And the problem is that there are tons and tons of Russian tourists, Asian tourists, and they like this kind of tourism with big hotels, and they have this big trash area, unbelievable, just near the beach, and I thought I would fall off my motorbike. And the problem is, so what do you do about this? Because the problem is, however, people ask for it, and the local agents, they offer it because it makes part of the country, and at the same time, when you go there, you trash the place. So what is the equation? I mean, it's really a very frustrating thing, actually.
Yeah, I think a part of the equation is to promote a more individual type of tourism, because, I mean, especially Asian tourists, and it's changing a bit, are used to travel in groups. And we put them in buses, 50 people in the same bus, and we have to build big infrastructures, motorways, big hotels, airports, to support that. And it's really changing the local ecosystem. So I think we travel more individually. It will change. So, and actually, Asian people want more and more travel individually, and we see that more in the millennials type of traveling. And this is, I think, a part of the equation is to create a more intimate way of traveling and again spreading the tourists in more places and to create a more curious reflex when we travel. And what we are doing at Evaneos is actually democratizing tailor-made tours, because before us it was kind of expensive and very luxury, high-end products. And removing the middleman is cheaper, also it's more affordable, and more people can travel like that, not only as a backpacker, but helped by a local company, and it's the same price actually than traveling with a group tour. So I think it's a part of the equation. I don't have all the answers, and I won't change everything, but I want to contribute to a better tourism. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Eric, for these such inspired solutions. Thank you.